Hello, good morning.
Good
God
morning.
bless. Happy Friday Junior to you guys. It's not Thursday, it's
Morning.
Friday Junior. Hope everybody doing well today.
Yes.
So we are going to do part two, what we spoke on yesterday. If you were
Yes.
here yesterday, you got a treat. We got into a little bit of what happened with George Floyd and how we felt as brothers. So
Yeah.
today is part two. I'm not sure how AD and Brian, Pastor Brian, got transferred because yesterday AD was at the bottom, and then Pastor
It's who
Brian,
comes in. It's who comes in first.
Oh, is that right?
Like if I leave right now, Pastor take my spot, and I'll be at the bottom. Yeah, I realized that because
I'm still at the bottom of my screen.
Yeah, you at the bottom.
I'm always at the bottom.
Not yesterday you wasn't.
No, this you was right beside him.
Really? So I was at the bottom on my screen.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and get into our. We're gonna start the show.
Yes.
While we go mute for you guys, make sure you go ahead and share the broadcast out.
Share.
All right, be right back. All right. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
We are back. We are back.
Good morning. Hey, great morning, sports car lady. Cheryl in the building.
Yeah, Cheryl's in the building. Lisa is in the building. Today, we're going to talk about the topic today's say his name.
George Floyd.
I went back and I watched that video again. As painful as it was to watch, I went back and watched it again. Because I think the first time I watched it, I watched purely because of the actions of what was going on.
Right.
I watched it again yesterday to hear the audio.
Right.
And what he was begging. And then and I have to speak slowly because it makes me emotional. Because he was begging for his life, telling me he can't breathe, asking for his mother. I mean, and you know, I still had people ask me on yesterday or say to me on yesterday, there has to be more to this story.
Right.
And it pissed me off to high heaven. I'm like, you know what?
Did you see the other there's another video out which shows a little more, but it doesn't tie, you know, the video that you see to the video of the tragedy. But it does show him in handcuffs and sitting down. You know, but that's all you see. You know, so we don't know how it became they end up sitting on him like that, you know. So there's of course there's more, but that doesn't matter. I think that's the thing that's the conversation I'm having. Like, yo, it does not matter what happened in that how long, like 5 minutes it seems like, or it seems like 5 hours, but it just in that piece of time, their actions didn't match up, you know, with what was going on. You know, like there was no reason for it. There was no reason for it. So I think you know, and the worst part is, I'll tell you the worst part. There's going to be an incident that happens, right? Like maybe like this or another shooting. And then there's going to be another video that comes out that may show him trying to stab somebody or something happened. Then they're going to take that one narrative, this one incident where there was more to the story, and apply it to everything else. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's what kind of angers me a little bit because I know it's going to happen. You know, because sometimes it seems like we don't want to recognize right is right and wrong is wrong. We know what's wrong. We know Eric Garner shouldn't have been out selling cigarettes, you know, Lucy's or whatever, because it's illegal. That's not the point. It's your actions. It's how they handled it. That's the problem. You know, like we know not Trayvon. Forgive me, from Ferguson, Mike Brown. You know, they showed the incident. I think didn't he steal from the store or whatever? We understand. Arrest him. But shooting him was not, you know, why would you do that? You know, there was like, there's focus on the overreach, you know, the misuse of force. Like, that's the problem. That's the problem. You know, arrest them. We're cool with that. We want criminals locked up. Black, brown, whatever. Lock them up. You know your homeboy committed crime? Lock him up. You know, but it's the overreach. What up, Richard? Great morning to you, my brother. So I think, you know, that narrative that, you know, this incident, like, there's more to the story. Yeah, there is. Right. There's always more to the story. There's always more. There's a reason why they put him in handcuffs. I think even then it's still wrong. I think it was over a check that they were wrong about. So I'm sure he got upset. Like he didn't do nothing. Because who wants to be locked up and then do nothing? Right. You know, and let's keep it real. You've seen the white videos when they get upset. Why you pulling me over? You know, they fussing and cussing at the cops. Like, you know, of course, we're trained. We're trained not to do that. Hands on the wheel. Yes, sir. No, sir. Mm-hmm. What you do? Why'd you pull me over? I understand, sir. You know, and it's crazy that we have to be programmed. You just want to get home safe, and you can't question. You can't question justice that's happening in front of you. Right. That angers me as well. Like, they pull you over, you know, have no reason. You know, the countless black men that have been pulled over in their Mercedes and their Porsche. You know, my wife's uncle Elix pulled over multiple times because he drives a Porsche. You know, and it's crazy. You know, no reason, just cause trying to find something. So, and then we question. Yeah, go ahead.
I agree with Sports Car Lady. I think that cop was absolutely sending a message. You know, because of the way his glare that he stared back at the crowd. It was
like no concern.
He was like, and I want you to try something. That was the try me face.
Right. And we had the conversation about the try me moment, because I was thinking, and I don't know about you guys. You know, you're watching, you're just like, jump on him, but I know why you're not jumping on him. You know, like you know, because Sam was like, if we all rush, they can't get us all, and I'm like, I know. But one of us has got to take the shot. Yeah. You know, like one of us going to take the hit, you know, and nobody wants to be the one to take the hit. And I told her, I said, if I did it, would you be cool? And she was like, well, did you live? I was like, we don't know. Like, I end up in a hospital, you know, like, because I was thinking the same, like, rush him. Because I know the guy that was yelling I thought he was going to do it. When I first watched the video, I was like, is he going to do it? Because he's yelling, and it seemed like he was getting close. I don't know if he was the one with the video or around the video. I was like, I know it felt like he wanted to do it, but he knew he was by himself. You know, it's like, I needed at least you. I need you, Terry. I need you. Like, Pastor, we're going to do this thing. We got to stop this. But one of us is going to take a hit, you know. So,
someone's going to take a hit.
So
you know, when we talk about that, you know, everybody, I'm looking for you to help me out. I'm looking for you to help me out.
Wow.
If you, I don't know, you guys remember 9/11. Everybody will never forget that. Yeah. But the flight 993, they went down in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The folks on that plane, they were heroes. They wanted to get the hijackers, right? And so before the plane went down, they almost had the plane retook, but they had to come together to get the hijackers. I think if we'd have had that particular mindset, I think they could have, like you said, you can't kill everybody, but who's going to take that first shot, you know, and taking that risk. But I think that's the kind of stuff that's going to have to happen. Somebody's going to have to say,
that's enough. Yeah.
And it'd be that first shot. The Minneapolis man is calling for them to press charges on the officer. And I read that, and I hope they do press charges, because these men deserve to be under the prison, not in it, not in Gen Pop, but under it, not even in solitary for what they did. But what I want to talk about this morning is something that Pastor Brian said yesterday, and when we had the call to action of our non-black friends, and I reposted what he posted yesterday, because my sentiment was what it was, and I stand with Pastor B 110,000%. If you are non-black and you roll with Terry, and you can and if you can sit by and not utter a word, delete me. I'm way past 110,000% on that. And a lot of people have come to me via inbox, or I put it under my post that I had, and voicing their concern. There's also a video that I saw yesterday that Pastor Brian so happened to post this morning.
Yes,
with the white young lady, and she had an epic rant.
Right.
I'm not sure where it was, what platform it was on, but she went all the way up. And I tried to download it before we came on. It wouldn't let me download it. But if you follow Pastor Brian, it's on his page. If you follow me, it's on my page as well.
Mine as well.
It's on AD's as well. I mean, epic rant. So, and I guess the reason why I want to talk about it is, are white people starting to see? Do you think, to some degree? Let's take us along. If they want the unrest to stop, they must arrest and correct those officers. I agree with you, Ebbs.
I think some have always seen, some always know, but not always speak up. Because like Pastor was saying, take the conversation into your private chat with your homeboys, in a sense. Those that are like you how you feel. When they start with the what if there's more, you need to start stepping up and be like, it doesn't matter if there's more, because you basically we need to be the Fox News of your narrative. You hear what we say, take what we say and just apply it into your conversation. Because that's what the other side, they take that same narrative and just throw it and regurgitate what they hear. So just if you need help, we got you. Just take what we say and just apply it. That's all, because what we're saying is making sense. So just apply that part. Don't let them get you on a rant about the Black nation. Focus on the incident. Focus on the consistent incidents that happen for no reason, regardless of crime. They're not the punishment is not fitting the crime. So
truth.
I think that's the thing.
So me, AD, we've had this flow for 15 minutes, me and you. So it's time to shut all the way up. Let Pastor Brian get in here.
What's up, Ruben? Thanks for coming through.
No, I'm just listening to you guys, man. It's good content. Yesterday was a real struggle. Hey, Doc. Yesterday was a real struggle for me because, we're talking about this brother and there are others while we're talking about him.
Yeah.
Right.
Some we don't
Brianna, there are women,
Right.
There's so many cases. And what I find striking is, when is the last time you heard of a white man getting unjustly handled, let alone killed in police custody?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, think hard.
Right.
When is the last time you even heard of a case where a white man resisted arrest, unless he was intentionally trying to commit suicide by cop?
Right. Good morning, Brian.
Think about how far, if somebody wants to commit suicide by cop, if a white man wants to commit suicide by cop, death by cop, think about how far he has to go to get them to shoot him. Right. And someone talked about the manner, the expression on that white cop's face yesterday, that he was sending a message. I think it was Sports Car Lady said that. And the message has been sent. They've been sending the message for years. What we saw yesterday was the level of comfort in the message, the level of comfort in his disposition. That's what we saw. Because if you think about it, we have been struggling to get through the ambiguity of previous shootings. Who really did what happened before they started recording, all of that stuff has been used to aid police officers in the past.
Right.
They've gotten so comfortable now that the camera doesn't matter anymore.
Yep.
Right.
That's what we see.
Right.
Because there is no ambiguity.
Right.
You know, I got another posting today of a white woman saying, I have my husband, she's the wife of a husband who was in law enforcement for 25 years and said he was a good cop. People loved him. Wow. And she says, I've never fallen for the race politics. I don't do it. I don't like it. If I'm going to talk about something, I want to make sure that I have the facts. I didn't see the racism. That's what she said. So to your point, Terry, are they now seeing? She said, I didn't see the racism. If you didn't see it, you didn't want to see it.
You didn't want to see it.
Right.
That was a choice.
It's not that you can't see it. It's just that you don't want to acknowledge it.
Right.
Right.
You can see something and know and not acknowledge it. No trial needed. No, a trial is needed. Definitely. Because we want the trial for George if he's committed a crime.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We want them to be tried in the court.
Right.
By a jury of their peers. The problem with the black community is it's never a jury of our peers. Right. We're not considered peers.
Right. Yeah. Right.
That's been the struggle. So I mean, there's so much to this, man. And Terry, to your point about, white people stepping up to the plate, one thing that we have to recognize, and I like this woman said it because I said it 2 days ago 2 days ago. I said that this is not a black community fight.
Right.
It's not a black community fight. Right. And anybody who said, I say that because of the film, I understand. Oh, absolutely. I agree. Yeah. Sport Car Lady. I know I'm with you. I just want to broaden the spectrum of the conversation is what I'm trying to do, because you make a valid point.
But we know since Rodney King that a video, a taping doesn't mean a conviction.
Right. And Dr. Rollins is right. Trial is also needed to show the cops can and should be right. Everyone should be held accountable, but we all should be held to the same standard. And here's the thing. When you gave the example, Terry, of Flight 93, that was a fight against terrorism. Right. This is a fight against what's supposed to be our protectors. Right. So when you question why didn't they jump, why didn't they move, it's like which battle do you want? Because you know that if he's going to sit there and kill that man, you're as good as dead if you try to.
That's true. I'm with you. You.
But the other side of that is, I said this to you guys a couple of weeks ago when Aubrey was killed. It's no longer the question of what can we do or what do we do. The question is, how far are we willing to go? Right. That's the reality. Yeah. And the reason why a person gets killed is because there's one person moving. Right. But if everybody moves, and that's why I say this is not a black issue. This is a United States of America issue. Right. This is a global issue. Because I don't care where you can go to the four corners of the earth. I promise you, the mindset towards black men is the same across the globe. That narrative has spread globally. Right. That's just reality. And so there's much to be done to begin to repair the damage that has riddled this nation for so many years. Right. But first and foremost, recognize that all blood is red. Right. We are a human race, not a black race, not a white race, not a Latino race, not an Asian race. We all are different, but we're all human. And the first point that has to be made is recognize our humanity. Right. Because that has not been done. That has not been rewritten in our history books. That's the reality. Right. So there's so much to do, man. And to the point about the non-black stepping up to the plate, I can't imagine the feelings of those who witnessed the death of George. But here's the thing. Let me say this. I shared with AD yesterday. I sent a direct message to my non-black friends. Before I posted publicly, I went to them privately to let them know what I was getting ready to do publicly. Right. I said, I'm going to give you because I'm a good guy. I'm going to give you an opportunity. Right. Mm-hmm. to back away from me before I put you on blast.
Yeah.
I know it's unfair, but all of this is unfair, and I need to know who's on my team.
Right.
So this is the path that I'm taking. I'm going to call out non-blacks, and people are going to want to know if my non-black friends are endorsing what I'm saying.
Right.
So before I call your name out, Nate Goggins, before I call your name out, Julio Ladal and my Colombian brother, before I call your name out, Donna Corey, before I call your name out, Dave Matheson, before I call your names out.
Hey, Coach.
Right?
Yeah.
Make sure. Tell me now, because I don't even have to let people know that I know you.
Right.
True.
Right? I'm going to give you that.
Yes.
But you can rest assured, I need you all to step up to the plate, because I don't want to be out here shouting from the hilltops and my own non-black friends are sitting idly by and complicit.
Right.
Because your silence is complicity.
Right.
And complicity is as bad as the man who choked out that brother this week.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Right.
If white people don't step up, if people who pass as white, who have white privileges and may not even be white, if you all don't open up your mouths, because this is a we the people problem, not a black problem. Somebody said we have to be a voice for the voiceless. White woman said this morning, black people are not voiceless.
Right.
We have a voice, and we've been screaming at the top of our lungs for years and years and years. And the problem is our screaming has become too familiar. Right.
There go them black people marching again.
Right. So now we need your voice, your white privileged voice is unfamiliar.
Right.
Your face is unfamiliar in this fight. You need to get in the fight and add that unfamiliar face, that unfamiliar voice, so that people will understand it's time to change some things.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Right. Yeah. So pivoting a little bit, I mean, still on the same course, and I know Terry wants to talk about the dog incident as well. What's the long game, right? Because we always talk about the long game, Pastor, right? We talk about how we got our 8, they got their 25. What's the long game? And it's funny that Pastor, you invited me to like a business page, and scrolling down with outrage without action is just privilege comforting itself. Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
So like, what's the long game, right? I was watching a video from Dr. It says Song, but it's with 2 O's, so Ong Chan. He was speaking about the changing the narrative, narratives internalized, and why we went from slavery to Jim Crow to still a system of discrimination, because the narrative, because it's the narrative never really changed. The white supremacy narrative never changed. We changed systems, we got laws in place, but the narrative never changed. And he spoke about 3 levels of clarification, conceptualization, and confrontation. And he says, we always jump to the confrontation before we get clarification and can conceptualize what we're trying to confront. So bringing it down a notch, like, what's the long game? What is it that we need to do to start changing some things?
Well, first and foremost, there has to be some reflection. There has to be some acknowledgement, from a historical perspective. That's one of the reasons why I talked about the badge, the shield that they carry, looking at the history of the shield, right? You can't change the history, but you can admit that the historical perspective about a badge, it was being used for slave patrol. It was for catching runaway slaves. That's where the police badge came from.
Right.
So that mindset as a foundational principle is what went into law enforcement.
Right.
That's why so many white supremacists are in law enforcement.
Right.
Because it was founded on that principle, white supremacy, catching runaway slaves who were black.
Right.
Right. And what's so amazing is to look at the number of black police officers who don't know the history of the badge.
Right.
Nobody ever looked it up. Right. So I think you have to have some reflection and see that this started off wrong.
Right.
And there are still people today that, as much as we have evolved as a nation, they still hold to that original foundational truth that this is to catch black people.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I got you.
You understand?
I do.
And what has happened is any black person that joins law enforcement, the narrative is now you've become blue.
Right. Right. You're not black. You're not white. You're blue.
Right.
You're
so
right.
It's all about the blue.
Right.
I got to protect my brother. Now a black man is no longer your brother. Your brother is blue.
Right. Right.
You understand? And so when you talk about the long game, you got to reflect back on that stuff. Where does this origination of do a Google search on the history of a police badge.
Hey, good morning, Angel.
Just do a search. It's there. It's in books. It's in the library. There's old pictures. You can see them. It's out there. People just never look for it.
Yeah.
The information is available. I promise you it's available. And if you want, I'll go back and find it and do a screenshot and give it to you.
Good morning, Lamadi.
Absolutely. Because I'm not going to speak about something that is not factual.
Right.
But I've done the research. So when you talk about the long game is consistency.
Right.
The long game is this cannot last until George's funeral.
Right.
It's got to keep. Remember that people in the civil rights movement have been active for a long time.
Right.
They've always been there. But they've become too familiar. Nobody's concerned about a protest. You know, you bring 10 people, we'll bring 20 cops.
Right.
You bring bats, we'll bring pistols. You bring pistols, we'll bring automatic rifles. You bring rifles, we'll bring a tank.
Right.
It's just that simple.
Right.
And the numbers don't work to our benefit, even if, right now in Minneapolis, they are acting a fool. You understand? They're acting a fool, and the problem is, and people are going to be mad at me because I'm angry enough to do physical damage. Y'all heard me quoting David against Goliath. You come to me with a sword and a shield, but I come to you in the name of the Lord. I'm ready to go in the name of the Lord with my weapons.
Right.
But I'm outgunned, I'm outmanned, and I don't have enough people with the same mindset that I have. So it's suicide.
Right. True.
Right. And so the point that I'm trying to make is that somebody said we need a leader. We need a voice. Mm-hmm. No, we need leaders and we need voices. If everybody stands up, change will happen. And when I say everybody, I'm not talking about every person in America. What I'm talking about is every person that is against racial and racial disparities and injustice. Right. If you are against that, don't be quiet.
Right.
It's really just that simple. And that's why I said people need to take the white people, need Asian people, Latino people that have the privilege of white people. You know who you are. You know that a police officer is not going to treat you the way they treat a man with black skin.
Right. So
you know that there are conversations taking place in your little corners of America, in your communities that we are not invited into.
Right.
You know that. In the black community, everybody has, Uncle Cece or Auntie Fifi, someone who just can't keep their mouth closed, but they're still welcome. You let them do their rants. They go off. They do all that stuff. I don't like white people. Like, oh, girl, sit down. Sit down, Uncle. He just drunk. Right. What I'm saying is start taking those conversations seriously and make sure that you say something in your own community and change the mindset of people. When I talk to my white friends forever, as long as I can remember, I tell them the problem is you're okay with me.
Right.
You treat me like Woody Harrelson in White Men Can't Jump having that conversation or that debate with Wesley Snipes. He's not black. He's Jimmy, talking about Jimi Hendrix.
Yes.
What white people do is they would take their black friends and isolate them from the black community. Now this one,
you going somewhere? Yes,
is my friend.
So
you understand?
Hold on.
No, there are more of me out there.
Right.
You only know me, and you can see someone who looks like me but is not me, and still get nervous.
Right. So
because it's not me. Oh, that's Brian. That's my friend. No, that's a black man that happens to be your friend. And I hate to do that. We say, no, I don't see color. You better start seeing color.
Right.
You better start. Right. It's time to see color. The reason why it's time to see color. Look, there's a reason why God made us all different colors, because he wanted us to understand variety and diversity and love each other anyway.
Yes.
Or else everybody would be one color.
Right.
No, I don't want a colorblind person. I want someone who is aware of my color and respects and loves me anyway.
Right.
Treats me equally anyway. And that's one of the biggest problems with people who say, I don't see color.
Right. So it's about changing that thought process. So that going to your point where, the separating of different blacks, like there's the Obama blacks, there's the Huxtable blacks, like when there's these folks are not just the exception. They are part of who we are. I think that's been one of the biggest problems, because I've been called a safe black, and it's like, no, I'm black. You need to treat me just like you treat my brother Terry, just like you treat Pastor, just like you treat any of Dr. Sims, just like you treat Brent, just like you treat Mama Moses, it doesn't matter.
Something different.
Right.
I heard a man say, I believe everything you say till you show me different.
Right. Exactly.
Real quick, Angel or Brent, if you are, I don't know, I'm not sure. I'm thinking I'm talking to Brent, but if it's Brent, check the inbox with me, sir. I need to see your face. If we can get you on, that'd be great. So y'all, go ahead.
So that leads me to my next point when it comes to changing the narrative, right? That how the country or even the world, but focusing because we live here, sees blacks as a whole. Do they see us as Nike Air Jordan buyers, hood, twerking, or is there a population that sees the Obamas, the pastors, the preachers, the community activists, the community motivators, or do they see us as the thugs? So I think it's shifting that mindset. And I always think, and I always think about if I had the kind of money to create a propaganda machine to put out images constantly, images of what blacks do on a regular basis, full families together, just like pushing the narrative. Because I think about because what's his name? That was Steve Bannon, I think was in Trump administration. I got his name right, Steve Bannon. Okay. So if you ever notice when you go shopping, those tabloids are always in the front counters of, you ever notice this? Yeah. You see everybody but Trump, because you guys know Steve Bannon has a company that owns all these a lot of these tabloids, newspapers. That's why you never see Trump's on top of these newspapers or these tabloids. And I always feel like it's that mental, that those subliminal messages, because when Obama was in office, constantly you always got Obama and Hillary fighting, Obama and his wife fighting, Obama and Oprah fighting. It's always something, those subliminal things. And I always feel like if we combine money and started a campaign, get with the best marketing company in the country, and have billboards of just black families just interacting together, not selling anything, just constant visuals. And something like that over the next 10 years, right? Of course, that's rolling into the billions, but over the next 10 years, changing the next generation. Because if little white kids going from preschool to 10 years old, constantly seeing these positive black images, I believe we'll begin to shift things. And I know this is kind of like an outline. This is a different way of looking at it, but we need to, it's changing that thinking. We can march, we can protest, but we got to get into the root of what's wrong, of changing that narrative, because that is why we constantly get back into the situation. Because then if I got these kids that have been watching these positive black images all these years, when they get on the police force, the little Pookie is not the norm. He's the outlier, and I'm looking at little Pookie. Yeah. I'm just saying, I'm looking at little Pookie, not little black Pookie. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm saying we don't see color, but you're not looking. Oh, get all the black. They describe somebody. We know we're looking for an actual guy that looks like the picture, not just the black guy that's 34, that's 5'8". So I always think about that.
Speaking of watching, why can't we go bird watching, man?
Good segue. High five.
Why can't we go watch it, bird watching? So, of course, you guys know because we're so enamored with the George Floyd situation. There's so many, like Pastor's point earlier. There are so many stories. We can go back all the way back to Philando Castile. We can go all the way back even further to Trayvon Martin. We can go back and keep going back. But if you guys recall,
we can go all the way back to Emmett Till.
Oh, right. We can start there, and then come forward. But so a young man was in Central Park, and I'm paraphrasing this, but he was in Central Park and he was bird watching, and he took out his phone and started videoing this white lady, and she calls the cops, and I'm being accosted by a black man, yada yada yada, all that. Okay, at what point in white privilege do you consider yourself stupid? Because here's my question: is because she's on camera,
right? He's
videoing her.
Okay.
So, is the hatred really that deep that you didn't think that when the cops came, he was going to show the cop the tape of you acting retarded and choking your own dog?
It's hope, right?
Wait, stop.
What?
Let me tell you what was feeding her. Remember, the story as it goes, he before the camera turns on, he's asking her to put a leash on her dog.
Right.
She gets belligerent.
Right.
So he turns the camera on.
Right. So that's when you turn it on. He's like, this.
She starts walking towards him saying, turn the camera off. Right. He says, no, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. I'm going to record this. She approaches him. He says, don't come near me.
Right.
A black man is shouting to a white woman, please don't touch me.
Right.
Yeah.
You hear me?
I'm on video.
Say it one more time. Right. On video, a black man is shouting at a white woman, please don't come near me.
Right.
Right.
Right. She comes to her anyway. She is so intent on getting him to do what she says. She's about to kill her dog.
Right. Yeah, but she giving that dog a chokehold.
Right. He's strangling her dog. So please understand the message. So what's interesting, what's playing out here is who's the violent one?
Right.
Right. That's the question. Who's really the violent one? Because her dog is literally getting choked out the way that George was getting choked out.
Yeah. Look at that.
You understand? So she's being violent, about to kill her dog. And then she tells him, I'm going to dial 911. And then she proceeds to tell him, I'm going to tell them that a black man is attacking me.
Yeah.
Now, understand this. She knows that if she calls because of white privilege, you said, where's the white privilege? She knows that if she calls as a white woman panicking on the phone, that she's under attack by a black man. Watch this now. When the cops show up, do you really think they're going to want to see what's on his phone?
Nope.
You think he's going to have an opportunity to say, hold on, let me show you? They're going to be busy trying to tell him to get his black behind down on the ground. They're going to be holding guns out because that's our reality.
Right.
There is no opportunity to explain yourself because a white woman has been scared.
Right. Yeah. Especially New York.
Well, here's another reality we have real quick in this show. We have a guest.
All right.
So we're going to go ahead and pop him on here.
What up?
So we got Brother Brent Rhodes in the building. And, we won't hold it against him. He's a Lakers fan. We won't hold it against him.
That's okay.
But hey, I'm a Laker fan, bro. Welcome.
You're also a Cowboy fan. We won't hold it against you either. But
you got some great people. Y'all got some great people on there. 2 Lakers fans. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna take it to the next level now.
That's right.
And so we're talking about. Oh God, everybody's okay. I can't do it. Okay, let's get off sports because you guys suck when it goes to sports. So we're talking about the situation that happened in New York with the young man who was bird watching,
Yeah.
Brent, where were you at when you what was your thought process when you first heard all that?
At first it was almost like normality, because when you think about it, you hear it all the time,
Right.
But then when you actually see the video, it infuriates you.
Right.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And not only the level of what she did, but how she did it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And she, she displayed, a distraught white woman, same as Emmett Till.
Right.
That could have gone just like Emmett Till.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? They could have came there, and exactly this more crazy stuff like they always do. We're talking about NYPD.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So you know all of these things, and then as things that just transpired from days before that,
right.
Months before that, because when you talk about the young man in Georgia, that was months before, it was in February.
Right.
But it hits home for me because as you guys were talking, you're talking about who's the safe black.
Right.
How should we handle ourselves?
Right.
And the thing that got me with the bird watching, they did, I think it was the New York Times, they said a Harvard graduate doesn't make it him that much. He's and quote unquote, he was a safe one because they called him a Harvard graduate.
Right.
So why you understand what I'm saying? It's just the mindset and how they depict us in society,
right.
even in the media.
Right.
And like right now, all of the things that were happening in Minnesota last night, when you think about we're angry.
Right.
The Bible says we must come to him in spirit and in truth.
Right.
We can't come with him, I'm gonna forgive. Right now I'm angry. I'm angry and I'm hurt.
Right.
And not only that, I'm exhausted.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm exhausted.
Right.
That this happens all the time.
Feels like all the time.
You know what got me? My son, Javante, who's 10, AD, you guys know my son, Javante. I had to have a conversation with him that I didn't want to have with him at 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But it had to happen. And by the time, because I gave him the full gauntlet, I told him everything. I showed him the video, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
Because I want him to understand, because he does deal with or some issues, non-compliant issues, and he does have a problem. And so I could not, and when I summed it all up, I told him I could not imagine, because I can promise you on my mama that if anything like that come close, I'm going to prison for life. No questions asked. We ain't even talk about it. We ain't finna have we never have a word of prayer about it. None of that. It's going down. But to have that conversation with my son, to make sure that when he approaches a cop, keep your hands out, yes sir, no sir, whatever, comply in every way possible, to keep you from possibly getting shot. No sudden movements, all that. And you guys know I live in Idaho. It's a little different out here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because
quite different.
Right. Quite different. Exactly. So it's I heard someone say one of my customers came in. It wasn't my customer. It was another salesman's customer. And he was like, what made you guys come all the way out here to Idaho?
Right.
Idaho. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of clever. I gotta start using that. But I don't know. But it's different for us. It's different.
Right.
And so, because I get that black men. I know Pastor Brian said on yesterday how they look at people. They look at black men crazy.
Right.
That's an everyday. For me, that's an everyday occurrence. Customers, managers, even. I mean, I don't know. So I had to tell my son that last night. So that was hard for me to do, as a father, to have that conversation with him, and say, I want to make sure that you can protect yourself. And if I'm not here, to be able to protect your sister and your little brother and your mother. So it's a lot. It's a lot. It's hard.
Well, you think about, in a non-Black household, you don't have to have the top 10 things that you teach your children, that you make sure you just raise.
Good morning.
Right. Good morning. A white woman got online and she said 10 things that I know I will never have to teach my son.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I will never have to teach my son that he can only wear a certain hairstyle to school.
Right.
I will never have to teach my son when he learns to drive and he gets pulled over that he should pull his wallet out, put it on the dashboard, and put his hands on the steering wheel.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. She starts going through this list of things that I won't have to teach my son.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's all the critical things that in a Black household, you have to teach your children.
Yeah.
Right. It makes me think of that movie, The Hate You Give.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good
right.
one, yeah.
And that dialogue between the father and his children,
Right.
and how regimented he was.
Right. Right.
Lining them up.
Right.
Tell me, what do you, like trying to drill that thing into their head, and it doesn't matter how much you drill it into their head, it doesn't save you.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Right?
No, exactly.
It's mitigation.
Right.
It reduces the risk,
Right.
but it's not a savior.
Right.
And what I'm saying is it's gotten so bad. It's gotten so bad. And I got to put this back out here, that a white woman can be in a park
Mm-hmm.
and be confronted by a Black man because she's in the wrong.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And she can totally flip the script
Exactly.
and know that she can be seen as an angel and he can be seen as a thug,
Automatic.
when the whole time she's the one with emotional and mental psychological disorder.
Right.
But it'll never get captured because he won't live to tell his story.
Right. Right.
You understand?
Right. That's true.
And so my point is, we live in this world of so much ambiguity. I got a friend who says, man, listen, I know the cameras come on, but, I've been in situations. A friend of mine told me, who's a former cop, he said, man, I was in Louisiana and I almost shot this Black boy because a white woman called 911.
Right.
Yeah.
He said, and it still haunts me today.
Wow.
Right. Because I dare not call anybody a racist or validate that someone is not a racist.
I agree with you, Mama.
I will say that he's a friend of mine and he doesn't look like me.
Right.
I will say that he's a man of character. I will say that he's a man of integrity. I will say that I trust him with my children. I told you this, AD, yesterday. And he said to me, he said about 18 years ago, I was in law enforcement and I almost shot a Black boy because a white woman dialed 911, and the description, the story that she gave me had me on edge. Right. And I came there ready to defend and ready to enforce the law. And when I got there, I had a bad feeling.
Right.
And I challenged myself to examine what I'm looking at. And I ended up not shooting this boy. And I'm so grateful. But the fact that I came that close still haunts me today because I was listening to a white woman and I had to check myself.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And we need more advocates like that.
Like that.
Right.
That would say exactly what he said to you to their counterparts.
Right.
Right. Well, he's in the fight.
Right.
Amen.
He's in the fight.
Amen.
He opened up his mouth 2 days ago.
Right.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And
it for Terry knows my story. I look at it, and because this could have happened to me. I was incarcerated for 4 years. And when I was just telling my wife, every time I think about these Castile and all of these cop killings, they pulled me over, right? And every time that I would have a regular traffic stop, because I didn't know what they were pulling me over for. They had already been watching me or whatever. But they pulled me over, and protocol was I had my foot on the brakes. while they pull me over. You don't necessarily put it in park.
Right.
So when they pulled me over, I was thinking, I'm like, okay, what they want now? So they pulled me over and guns were drawn.
Mm.
All right. Never happened like that before. So my foot is on the brake, and I was in a 79 Lincoln, old Lincoln I had restored, and you have to pull it up. So I'm like, okay, let me see your hands. I'm like, okay, what you want me to do? Do you want me to put it in park? Or what do you want me to do? And a sudden move could have been my life.
Right.
Because they were already agitated. They had me on the trigger. They were surrounded me. So I said, okay. Once I did it, and I thought back on it now. Back then it was nothing because I didn't think of it like that. But it could have been a sudden move. Mm-hmm. And I think about what goes through, just like the hate you give. When you, it's almost like a matter of life and death, And as young men and young women, they really can't comprehend that,
right?
Because life is not supposed to be like that to them,
right?
Because I live, and most of my my kids are, they're around a whole lot of Caucasians and Hispanics. It's very diverse here where I live in Texas. And I don't want to scare them, but they have to have reality.
Right.
And now these incidents are beginning to get them to see that. Right. And my thing is, these are the conversations that we're having right now. I put it in the text. I said I was just waiting for you guys to come on because I knew you guys would come on.
Right.
And just like the insight from you, Pastor. From being a man of God. Because just like you saying, you're talking about David. I'm saying, the kingdom suffered violence and the violence taken by force. I'm ready. You understand what I'm saying? But and Terry, I just want to speak to you said I wanna you said I'm going to jail for life if something like this happens, and that's our initially because we look at my sight. Anytime, and I had to talk to myself. Same thing, me and my wife yesterday. I don't know if that was my son because I have a 26-year-old. If that was my son, I don't know how I would handle it as well. Right. But I have another son, and my son has a son, and I have a grandson.
Oh, sir.
And if I were to react that way,
right, what happens to
what would happen to them?
Right.
Oh,
that's true. That's true.
And that's why it's not one man's fight.
Right.
Amen.
Right. Because they can't lock up everybody.
Right.
That's why it's important for people who don't look like us to raise their voices so that we don't have to sacrifice to that extent.
That is so essential, man. You're saying
right.
That's it.
Because that's how I think. I got 5 children, 4.5 grandchildren.
Hey, Pastor Bromfitz.
Hey, good morning. And so that's what you just said, Brother Brent, is exactly how I've had to challenge myself because we get angry.
Right.
We talk about if that was my son, and then you have to stop and think. The Bible says, be anxious for nothing.
That's it.
But everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your request be made known unto God. And so, you said David and the violent taken by force. I'm thinking about Ziklag.
Yeah.
Right. And David, shall I pursue? Because they took my stuff. When I go get it, I said, go get it. And you're going to get it all back.
That's it.
I'm saying, we want our humanity.
Right.
Because before you invaded us, we had it.
Right.
So what is it going to take for us to get that back? Right. And I'm going to do whatever's necessary, even if I have to sacrifice myself so that my children and my grandchildren will not have to suffer through what I have had to suffer through. That's the mindset that we have. Right.
No Robin stores involved with that.
Anger does not produce the righteousness of God. March peacefully. That's a whole nother side of it. I think it's really unfortunate that people are burning down stores and all that kind of stuff, because what's different in this respect is that 24 to 48 hours after this incident was publicized, those officers were fired.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what anybody says. That's change.
Right. Yes.
And you have to recognize that. Right. And you have to give it space. Right. Because that is notice change. When the shift happens, be aware of the shift.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that's one of the problems. Cognitive dissonance is a disease that destroys people because you have new evidence, but you're still treating it the same
way. Right.
That's true. And so we always have to hope for a better outcome.
Right.
And if we don't get it, we continue in the fight.
Right.
But this was not the time to be burning down buildings, especially when those cops have been fired. Now, my problem is they hadn't been arrested.
Right. So, I mean, the fight is still there.
I at least have to be thankful that they immediately lost their job.
Right.
Right.
Yes,
that's the thing.
It's not like they ignored it. They ignored it.
And it wasn't like, they had them on administrative leave like they do the rest of
them. So
they did move in a swift fashion to get those guys fired. So there is a change. But Brent, I want to thank you for coming through.
Yes, Brent, appreciate you, man.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Appreciate you, man.
You have my phone number. Don't use it.
Yes, sir.
We won't go there. But we appreciate you, brother, for coming through, man. You have a great rest of your day. And tell Angel, if she's around, tell her I said hello.
She's downstairs looking at you right now. Say hi.
Hey, Angel. Angel's awesome. We love her. We love her.
Hey,
all right, brother. So here's the thing. In closing, for me, the bomb didn't drop for me until, hey, Cambria. He said was on the front porch on my front step. And he looked at me like he didn't see none of this coming. And then he says to me, he looked at me, said, Dad, why do they hate us? And just in that question, it was like, I don't know. I don't know. And that was a hard question for me to swallow. Coming from a 10-year-old. He said, why do they hate us? So it was just like when Will Smith's daddy left. And he asked Uncle Phil, why don't he want me? That's kind of where he's like, and my mom was, and you know what? We're chosen, but I didn't want to get that. He's 10. I didn't want to get that deep with him. But
it hurt
a little bit.
Real quick before we go. Okay, no worries, Pastor. When we was at Center of Hope, the church we was at, me and Pastor were before he started his ministry. We had a class, and I was teaching the children's class, and we were having the police kind of talk about certain things, and the police came in, and the frightened look on all of the children who were all Black. They were like, oh my God, and it's crazy how, because my kids, I had to talk to them about not being afraid of the cops. Right. You listen, but you don't have to be afraid of them, because I'm trying to push the narrative that they're here to protect and serve. Like, they're here for you. It's supposed to be. So I need you to at least see it that way and not get afraid every time, because you're going to look suspicious and then cause a situation that doesn't need to happen or take place. Right. So it's key that we have to get our children out of that mindset of having our children be afraid of the police. You listen, you respect authority, but you can't get caught up and just get scared. So it's crazy. It's the way they see it. Because I forgot what situation had happened. There's unfortunately so many. I think this wasn't Trayvon. This was another incident that happened. And of course, somehow they seen it because, everybody was looking at it, YouTube and all that great stuff, but yeah, those babies ran from the police. Yeah, in the nursery, right. Because Dr. Rollins was there as well. Yeah, they were so scared of the police. And it's like, why? So it's changing that narrative as well. So there's a lot of undercurrent when it comes to the white supremacy and things of that nature that needs to change. And we have to just be vigilant, keep at it. And I believe it can change. I know a lot of people are very pessimistic and feels like it's been so far, so long that nothing will ever change. But I truly believe that it can change. I do.
Yeah. I do too. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for the future. I am. I think it's too, and and not saying this in the wrong way, but I think it's too late for us. But I think I hope that we can.
Oh, like our generation. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll be old. We might get a little. We might get old.
We might catch it. We might catch the tail end. I mean,
how about teeth in the jar there and talk about it? But yeah, I think so. The rest of good blood. Yeah. Right.
We want to thank you guys for coming through.
Yes.
The longest Brother Legacy episode ever.
Yes. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming.
We will appreciate you. Make sure you keep coming back to us because we'll always have this thought-provoking conversation. We're not just here to yak. We're here to make a difference. We don't just stand up. We stand out. So y'all come on and come and see us. Join the Facebook group. All that. And we're going to see you guys on the flip side. You guys have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Peace out.